Agriculture. We are always here for you. As usual, I'm never alone. I have my melanin pop Cynthia Basim here
I
with me.
really like the energy in here today. I mean, maybe
Okay.
because of this week, we've been
We're
all.
close to Friday.
I mean, the past. Should I say the past week and this week we've been rolling out proud moments
Proud moments
for
for Nigeria,
Nigerians. So
yes.
I think I guess that's why. But yes, if you like what we do here, and if you want to hear more prouder moments from Nigeria and across the continent, yes, this is the right place to be.
Mhm.
You can follow us, send in your thoughts, send in your questions, share them with us online at Idea Television. This is your space. Too, you can join the conversation. Also, you can reach us via our email at ideatvlimited@gmail.com. Yes, we want to hear from you.
All right, straight ahead, we'll be talking news stories. But first, let's go on this short break. When we return, we'll get right into it. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. Now let's dive into today's biggest stories from Nigeria and beyond. Starting out first, federal government approves drug testing for varsity students. The federal government has approved mandatory and random drug tests for students in Nigeria's tertiary institutions. The move is part of a strategy to combat rising substance abuse among youth. The Minister of Education, Dr. Tunja Laos, announced a high-level meeting in Abuja with the chairman of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, Brigadier General Buba Marwa, retired. The new policy mandates drug integrity tests for fresh and returning students alongside random testing across campuses. The initiative will also see the creation of a substance use prevention unit within the Education Ministry. Dr. Lausa confirmed that drug education will now feature more prominently in a revised secondary school curriculum, with plans to eventually cascade prevention content into primary education. This decision aligns with the NDLEA's proposed three-pronged approach, revising drug education content, introducing standalone drug abuse prevention programs in schools, and enforcing drug testing in tertiary institutions. Brigadier General Marwa, while addressing the scale of the crisis, said over 40,000 drug offenders had been arrested in the past 2 years, with more than 5,000 metric tons of narcotics seized. He warned that drug abuse fuels insecurity, terrorism, and criminality, posing a grave threat to national development. Dr. Lausa echoed these concerns that it undermines education, impairs critical thinking, and reduces employability, fueling a cycle of dysfunction. The Education Ministry will also collaborate with the Universal Basic Education Commission and TED Fund to support the NDLE Academy in Jos Plateau State. The government says implementation of the new policy will begin with tertiary institutions. Now, this is a step in the right direction. This is a good move coming from the Ministry of Education in collaboration with the NDLEA. For a very long time, we've had conversations around drug abuse in tertiary institutions. And as much as we want to deny it, there's substance abuse going on in schools. Just yesterday, on my way home, somebody was just talking about how he knows or she knows a young man who's been peddling drugs in school. He's been selling drugs in school on a campus, and the parents didn't know because he barely even had time with his parents. He was the only child, and the parents were too busy to even notice the changes. He was in a boarding school. That he said that the boy said he was introduced to drugs at 14. So he started from secondary school. You can now imagine if that child grew from secondary school, he got into university, the kind of rot that must have transpired. And so moves like this are what, makes sure that things are done the right way. Perpetrators have to be brought to book because some of these kids, they don't even understand what they get themselves into. They just dabble in because one senior or one big uncle or one big auntie is telling them, oh, this is way to go. This is what big boys and big girls do. This is how you make fast money. And then they push them into it. And before you know it, there's a mental breakdown because they can no longer carry the burden of the effects or consequences of dealing with hard drugs. But I love that Dr. Tunja Lausa and Brigadier Maruwa are already speaking to ensure that sanity is brought into the school system, and they're kicking it off with tertiary institutions. But I do not want them to exclude secondary schools, especially the senior classes. It starts from there.
True.
They use those
Very
kids.
true.
People do not know, but imagine this story from secondary school at 14. That should be like in SS1. So there are many young people who are getting into drugs without even knowing that that is what they are getting into. So while this is a good move, let us spread the tentacles across, even down to secondary school. What do you think, Cynthia?
I think you've put it very well, but I have so many concerns regarding this. Because, when things comes up like this, in Nigeria, we tend to have different opinions to this, and it's okay to have different opinions because some of these opinions is what is going to help even the NDLEA and the federal government to put their decisions to into proper use or strategize it properly for use rather. So I would say that a mandatory and random drug testing in tertiary institutions, it's a bold move and a necessary one, a very, very important thing to do because we've been struggling with drug abuse for a while now, and it's beginning to come into the surface that this is a societal problem and it can cost us a whole lot much. And just like you said, this shouldn't only be done in tertiary institutions. We should go down to as not even primary schools, because we have yes, we have an activist on the show who talked about small children from as at the age of even 10, 9 smoking this stuff because of how they are disguised. So I think but this I think we need to also be alarmed, just like I've said before I started off, that this is going to, it brings so many ideas, opinions and concerns and questions to my mind, because let's talk about some ethical considerations, concerns. Let's talk about some legal concerns, because we'll now I want to look at privacy. I want to look at, yes, privacy for students, privacy for these people, because some of these things is what is going to stir up more problems if we don't check it very well. Because I want to also look at the stigma with this. Some of these things are going to cause problems. And then a prevention, is this substance use prevention unit is set up in the NDLEA office. Is it going to spread across these tertiary institutions? Are their units going to be stationed in different tertiary institutions? Because why I brought about these ethical, legal concerns, when we talk of privacy, when we talk of stigmatization, when we talk of a whole lot of things, is that, I'm asking because some of these things are things that is going to, or that are going to, push these students away this is not the first time, because I'm saying this because it has happened in the university where I schooled. They brought about the new VCS at that time brought about this similar initiative for students to be tested, but then we had a lot of dropouts because of this. I didn't see so many people in my class return to school again.
Maybe because
we had, yeah, go ahead.
Maybe because the concept of the testing is they are scared if they'll be expelled from school. So I think we need to put things in perspective.
Exactly.
Why are you testing them?
Exactly.
Are you testing them to condemn them?
Exactly.
Are you testing them to give them counsel?
Exactly my point.
So I think I agree with you.
Yes. So
and that's not really been spelled out in this.
Exactly. So we want to see all this put out to us, that these are the steps we are taking even after this. We always talk about prevention than cure. We always talk about proactive measures rather than reactive measures. So we don't want a point where our campuses will turn into surveillance places.
Yeah.
We want it to be a safety net for these children. So it's very important we put this into consideration before we, beautiful idea. This is a very beautiful initiative, but this directive needs to involve students very well. It needs to involve students. If it means carrying out a study, a research to see how many students are affected, if it means partnering, this is the time we even need to partner and collaborate with NGOs, because a whole lot of NGOs in Nigeria are pushing for this already. And so we need to partner with schools, we need to partner with other social agencies, and so to make sure that we drive this problem away from our society. Yes, that takes us to the next news. FCTA mandates hepatitis screening for all food handlers in Abuja. Interesting. The Federal Capital Territory Administration has announced the mandatory screening of all food handlers in Abuja for hepatitis B and C. The initiative, unveiled in commemoration of the 2025 World Hepatitis Day, aims to strengthen food safety and protect public health across restaurants, markets, bakeries, and canteens in the nation's capital. Delivering the statement on behalf of the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike, mandates Secretary of Health Services and Environment, Dr. Adedolapo Fashawe, explained that the move targets both prevention and awareness of foodborne diseases, particularly hepatitis types A, B, and C and E. Hepatitis A and E, often transmitted through contaminated food and water, pose increasing risks in a growing city like Abuja. Hepatitis B and C, which spread via blood and bloodily fluids, are also of concern in food environments with inadequate hygiene or open wounds. According to the ministry, food handlers are critical to safeguarding public health, but are often overlooked. The screening will be implemented through a public-private partnership consortium, combining private sector efficiency with government regulation. The plan aligns with the National Policy on Food Safety and Quality and will also include routine hygiene inspections, enforcement of licensing and medical screening, food safety training, and hepatitis awareness campaigns. Stakeholders ranging from healthcare providers to food business operators are being urged to support the rollout, including promotion of free hepatitis B vaccination and at public health facilities. The FCTA describes food handlers not merely as service workers but as public health stewards and calls for urgent collective action to reduce transmission and end the stigma surrounding hepatitis. Well, this one I'll say, Chinatu, is I'll say it's straight, because this is something we need. Just as it is mentioned in the news, we do not understand that food handlers, food vendors, most of these people are like custodians of our, our health. They are custodians of public health, because we have our lives just like we have our lives in the hands of public health practitioners. We also have our lives rather in the hands of these people, because especially in Abuja here, there are so many food vendors. If you go to Gwarimpa, I mean, it's like Gwarimpa was built for it was built for food business alone. So I mean, and this is a very good step, because most times when we go out to eat, we do not know the water that has been used to prepare this food. We do not know the hands that have touched them. We do not know how hygienic the people involved in preparing these foods are. So I think it's important, it's a necessary step, because Nigeria alone is suffering from, I think, up to over 2 million or 20 million people, if I'm not mistaken, is suffering from hepatitis. And people do not understand that this is a transmissible disease, and they need to be tested for it. So I think bringing this to the fore shows that we need to begin to take our health as well into our own hands. We need to begin to consider it, check what you eat, you know, even food vendors needs to consider the hygiene of what their hygiene as well, their personal hygiene. They need to check what they sell to us. They need to check the kind of water they use to prepare what they prepare, and so on and so forth. So I think it's a very important thing to do at this point in time. Screening for food vendors, very wise decision.
I totally agree with you. You know, when you said that our lives are practically in the hands of food vendors, especially if you patronize them. I then remembered how we say, make your medicine your food and your food your medicine. There's no two ways about it. We are in a time where we must be very conscious and cautious of the things that we do and take into our bodies. Seeing our health system, seeing the infrastructure that we have in place for health, you must understand that should anything happen, should there be a breakout of any sickness, we may not even be ready to deal with it. So it's better. Prevention is always more affordable than cure. So I like that is happening. I like that is happening, but let us ensure that it doesn't just happen as to mark World Hepatitis Day. Can it be something that continues every time, from time to time? Maybe, I don't know what the variation would be, but let it happen often. Not just the next day when we have World Hepatitis Day, we now say, let's check these people. No. All right, moving on. Nigeria ranks second in cholera cases across Western Central Africa. Nigeria now has the second highest number of cholera cases in Western Central Africa, according to the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF. UNICEF's Regional Director for Western Central Africa, Giles Fagino, says cholera has become endemic in Nigeria with repeated major outbreaks in recent years. As of the end of June, the country had recorded over 3,100 suspected cases and 86 deaths across 36 states. The disease, which spreads through contaminated water and food, is a severe threat to children. Around 80,000 children are now estimated to be at high risk across the region, especially as the rainy season intensifies. Fagino explained that factors such as heavy rainfall, widespread flooding, and mass displacement are driving the spread of cholera, putting children's lives in danger. He stressed that young children are particularly vulnerable due to poor hygiene, unsafe water, and malnutrition. The Democratic Republic of Congo remains the worst hit with over 38,000 cases and nearly 1,000 deaths. Other countries facing active outbreaks include Chad, Republic of Congo, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, and Togo, while nations like Niger, Liberia, and Cameroon remain under close watch. In response, UNICEF has deployed life-saving health, water, sanitation, and hygiene supplies along with treatment centers. The agency is also backing cholera vaccinations, promoting better hygiene, and scaling up community engagement. However, UNICEF says it urgently needs $20 million in the next 3 months to strengthen its response across the region and prevent the crisis from worsening. What do I make of this news? I don't even know how to feel about it. We keep getting hit by cholera outbreak, and it appears as though we'll never be ready for it. Look at the countries that have been mentioned, mostly African countries.
Nigeria being the highest.
Bearing the highest burden of cholera outbreak. Where do we go from here? What are the necessary steps that must be taken to ensure that this doesn't even keep happening? Because it's every year I hear about cholera outbreak. If it's not happening in this state in Nigeria, it's happening in these other states. Why can't we just have a permanent solution to this? it just still tells you where we are as a country. It still tells you where we are as a continent, because you see Togo, look at Chad, look at other countries, all African countries, still battling still battling cholera, and still relying on UNICEF to fix the problem. Where do we become independent, really? All these countries will tell you that they're independent, but is our health system independent? Can we truly stand on our own? We're not there yet. It doesn't appear as though we are there. And it's really baffling, especially when you think of the fact that we have all it takes to get these things sorted. We have natural remedies that I'm sure if the right things are done, if the right steps are taken, if the right investment goes into the natural medicine sector in Nigeria, in Africa, we won't have to be battling with cholera outbreaks. We won't have to be battling with a lot of the sicknesses that keeps hitting us as a continent. So what does this say? It tells us where we stand as a nation. It tells us where we stand as a continent. And I'm very sad because UNICEF is saying they need about $20 million. So should they not get that funding, should they not get that aid, you can imagine the number of people who will be vulnerable to the situation, the number of people and lives that will be lost as a result of this cholera outbreak across these African nations. We must step up. We must step up as government. We must step up as people. And now look at investing into what we have, strengthening our own health sector, doing the things that we must do to stand. Because really, we can't keep doing this. It's worsening. It might keep being caught. The other time it was USAID telling us that, some of the supplies for a lot of the things are no longer going to come in. So can we be independent truly, in the true sense of it, not just in singing a national anthem? Can we be independent in our different sectors? Because it appears as though we are independent on papers, but in things like this, we are not. Let's fix it once and for all, and I'm hoping that we get to do it.
I think just like you said, this is failure in the part of governance. This is failure in the part of putting together good and quality infrastructure facility, and also negligence, because this is not the first time. This year alone, there have been series of outbreaks of different diseases, where, we are trying to, if at all, we are even trying to battle or curb others, and then we have others arising. And the worst of it is that so many African countries are listed there to be suffering from this outbreak, but then Nigeria is suffers the highest. So I think it's a serious problem, because how can we, the biggest in Africa, be number one when it comes to cholera, suffering from cholera disease? And this is the 21st century. And we are still talking of those times like the 18th century when we were battling in the war. We know some of the causes of cholera outbreak as at then. We know the war, there was cut in food, shortage in food supplies and all of those things. But how can we in the 21st century, when we can, there's a whole lot available for us to sort some of these cases, to prevent some of these things from happening. And the worst of it is that cholera is not even an airborne disease. Cholera is a disease that affects people through unclean water, unclean environment. It's just an hygienic issue entirely. So these are things, this is to tell us that, I'm mentioning this because this is to tell us that this is something we can easily prevent. So why wait for it to get to this time? And not even get to this time, it's not even about getting to this time. You spoke well when you talk about governance. If things are not put in place, this is what our people will continue to suffer. So many parts of Nigeria, as we speak, do not have good, clean water to drink. So many parts of Nigeria, the environments are bad. So you can see people. If you go to Lagos in Ijora Olopa, people go to toilet. How am I going to put it? What other right way am I going to put it? Excrete inside water. When I mean water, this is the water that is the Lagos Island water and the water that, goes to other parts of the country, and the Nile, the Niger, and all of those things, all of those waters. So if these waters are being messed up, and we still depend on it to drink, what will become of us? So I think our problem, these fragile health issues, is becoming overwhelming at this point in time, and it's high time we solve the problem. It's becoming a big issue at this point in time, and it is shameful that in 2025, and I still repeat, it is very shameful that in 2025 millions of Nigerians still rely on open defecation, poorly built houses, poor water systems, and all of those things. This is not just our problem, because where are people going to get the money? This is the problem of the government, and they need to solve it. We just need to solve this and create drainage systems. There are so many solutions out there, and they are not far-fetched. These are things we can do. These are things that, well, I just hope this problem, this issue arising again, brings to the awareness of the government, brings to their mind that they need to take care of the people and take care of the environment. Very important. Moving on, African Development Bank commits $1.2 million to Nigeria's battery storage study. The African Development Bank has committed $1.2 million to fund a feasibility study on Nigeria's battery energy storage system, or BESS, an ambitious project designed to strengthen the national grid and accelerate the country's transition to cleaner, more reliable energy. The grant, announced during an inaugural workshop in Abuja, is being delivered through African Development Bank's Energy Transition Catalyst program. The study is expected to explore how battery storage can stabilize electricity supply, improve renewable energy integration, and expand access to power for underserved communities. Dr. Abdul Kamara, Director General of African Development Bank's Nigeria Country Department, said the project will assess grid integration options, identify viable business and regulatory models to attract private sector investment, and develop the technical expertise needed for long-term sustainability. Kamara also stressed that while battery technology is essential, success depends equally on supportive regulatory policies and a strong investment climate. He reaffirmed African Development Bank's continued backing through its $1 billion Economic Governance and Energy Transition Support Program. The initiative aligns with the key national energy frameworks, including Nigeria's Energy Transition Plan, SE for All agenda, and the Renewable Energy Master Plan. Representing the Minister of Power, Ben Ayengwa, described the study as a strategic step toward future-proofing Nigeria's energy infrastructure, particularly as solar and wind energy sources expand. He explained that battery storage will enable excess energy to be held and dispatched during peak demand, helping reduce pressure on fossil fuel backup systems. The Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, also welcomed the study. Its managing director, represented by Olubenga Ajiboye, highlighted the importance of storage systems in tackling persistent grid challenges like frequency instability, voltage fluctuations, and peak load stress. Another one. Now, this particular news, I think it raises my, I'm optimistic about it. Let me just put it that way, because Nigeria's energy future cannot continue to depend on diesel. We cannot continue to depend on. I mean, the funny part is that we even tend to go sentimental about some things that do not even need our sentiments. We will say, when the partakes light, we'll say, please let God bring light. Oh, I want to use this light. We cannot continue to depend on prayers for this kind of thing. I think this is time we need to. This is now. This is the time. This is the right time, rather, for us to move to other alternative for energy sourcing. There's battery, there's wind, there's solar, but we have been using solar, we've been using wind in most of our farms. I mean, a lot of people are using solar in their homes. In farms, a lot of us are using wind supply. But we cannot continue to depend on just few or some sources of energy supply when there are different or alternative energy supplies available to us. This is another way, especially in Nigeria, that we always complain about. Oh, rain is falling, and then you see the take light. Especially when we are in the raining season, and we do not have, when rain starts. Let me even put it that way. Power, there is blackout. So if we want to depend on solar, they will tell you no sun to power this, no sun to power that. So I think battery storage is a good alternative for this. And we are not even just talking about electricity supply here. We're also talking about, national productivity, because this is going to, a lot of businesses depends on electricity supply to power their businesses. A lot of the health sector depends on this. Schools depend on this. We need all of these things. So I think this is going to help for national productivity. It's going to help businesses. It's going to help every other sector that relies on this for, power supply. So, yeah.
Okay, I think all I see here is diversification of the energy sector, and that's what we want. I'm all for that diverse means of getting power. We shouldn't just rely on one source, just as you've rightly pointed out. So, but there's battery, there's solar, there's I mean, whatever different sources that we can rely on to get power, let us get it. We shouldn't just rely on, we just know it's fossil fuels, and that's all there is to it. We've been exploring solar, and we can see the positive effect it's been having. But even that can be trusted for times when there's no sun. So now we have a battery coming into the equation, and I think this is something that we must push. All I really want is diversification. I don't think that even with the battery, let people have options to pick from.
Yes,
let
exactly.
People have whatever works for your community, whatever works for your locality, whatever works for your pocket. Because that way,
True.
you understand that people have different choices, just as people do not have options when it comes to not having light, and the only thing they can rely on is a generating plant. So they must get a generator. So in the same vein, we now have this. It's a laudable initiative to, award these grants and see that we're exploring how we can use battery to not just provide energy, but save and find an alternative source to power. Let us see where it goes from here, but I can't wait to see it happen already, just as we've been celebrating the CNG. Let us have this one roll out. But in the meantime, we'll have to do a wrap-up of the headlines or the news stories by bringing up to speed with the headlines we brought your way. And the first story is that the federal government approves drug testing for varsity students.
An FCTA mandates hepatitis screening for all food handlers in Abuja.
Nigeria ranks second in cholera cases across Western Central Africa, according to UNICEF.
And lastly, the African Development Bank commits $1.2 million to Nigeria's battery storage study.
And with that, we now go on a short break. After the break, Idea Morning Digest continues with discussion segments on the other side. Welcome back to Idea Morning Digest. If you missed it earlier, not to worry. This is the discussion segment. And today we'll be talking about Nigeria's Egusi going into space. How a local city is changing the global space conversation. Well, Nigeria's new investment initiatives held an update from the education sector. But now let us look at something that's very historic, Egusi. Yes, the Egusi that you know about, the one you cook in your house every now and then, is going to space. Probably before you. This week, Nigeria made history as Egusi seed sourced right from Oyo State, boarded a NASA mission to the International Space Station. The mission is part of a scientific experiment led by none other than Nigerian space scientist Dr. Temidayo Onioshun, a brilliant mind and alumnus of the Federal University of Technology, Akure. What's the goal, you may ask? To assess whether Egusi can contribute to food security in space. Now, what does this mean for us as Nigerians? Why should you care about Egusi floating in zero gravity? Now, let's unpack it. And I'd like Cynthia to start the conversation. Cynthia, Egusi being represented in space. Do you think we are showing up for culture, or what does that even bring to mind? Seeing that the Egusi that you know from Oyo State, the one that you cooked last week, went to space before you.
Okay. I really think this is a symbolic move for Nigeria.
Why not Okpa?
Very soon. I think if you do that, if you take it, why not? I think this is symbolic for Nigeria. This is symbolic for our culture, for African food. This is also for science. This is also for, this is for science. This is for survival, because for decades, we've had the African narrative not being represented globally when it comes to, science, when it comes to conversations about global space, and, it has been very passive, or let me say, peripheral, not being at the surface for a very long time. So I think that's one for representation. This Egusi going to space, this is for representation. We've seen so many countries have their food. So many individuals from different countries go to space, and we've not really have so many people from Africa, especially, let's say, from Nigeria. So this, I think, was it some months back, we have Owolabi Salis, if I get his name correctly, who went to space through the Blue NS-33 mission. He went to space. I think he's the first Nigerian to go to space, and we were very happy about that. Says he wants to go and explore, and he's pushing that more Nigerians go to space and explore what's outside of Earth. So I think this is another one. This to me is not even just a mind-blowing happening. It's something that will tell our story, because it's high time that we stop being partakers, or we shouldn't always be partakers based on we're always at the receiving end. But this time around, we are standing out, we are coming out as contributors in global space issues, in tech issues, in, scientific conversations, in all what it is to do about space, global space conversations or discussions.
Okay, so I think one striking thing for me is the fact that this is an indigenous crop for Nigerians, and this is an avenue to see whether that biodiversity we talk about, whether the agriculture we keep preaching about in Nigeria, becoming the mainstay of the economy, can move beyond the earth into space. Can we now start growing crops in the space? That's what we are looking at. And so seeing Egusi take that lead from Nigeria is a reminder that our indigenous crops can grow in microgravity, which is something to be proud of, because it's not happened before. So this is historic. And so you can just say that, yes, you can beat your hand on your chest and say, this is an innovation from our indigenous plants. This is something that is known to Nigerians, and it is happening in the space in your own time.
I think what space agencies are doing with all of this, because I've been seeing different space movements since the beginning of this year alone. I think more people are beginning to explore space and how the habitat there is. So since more people are moving to space, some people are even saying, some very rich people are saying they want to, they're planning on even, getting houses, building houses in space and living there, So space agencies have come to understand that, okay, humans are exploring space, humans are exploring Mars and all of these other planets. And then people want to live there. People want to live in the moon. I remember Michael Jackson then he asked that he wants to be buried in space, I think in the moon or so, if I'm not mistaken. And so many things like this. So I think that's what brought about the need for, looking for sustainable food systems in space. And, for you to take something as far as space, for you to take a food, a crop, a seed or something to as far as space, then you need to take something that is going to, that has that that can preserve, that can be preserved rather for a longer period of time. Something that is also enriching in calories, something that can grow faster as well, because these are the foods that are going to be depended on for people that are going to space often. So it's becoming a thing now. So I think Egusi stands that test, although we have not seen what is going to come out of this experiments. We hope to see. I think that the mission is taking off today. So we want to see what is going to come out of that experiment. And this is going to do a very big one for agribusiness too. But I hope Egusi doesn't become more expensive, or rather very expensive for us now. But it's doing a big one for agribusiness, and it's also doing a big one for the culture, because it's for a while now we've been seeing Egusi on the internet. Everybody's talking about Egusi, everybody's talking about fufu, jollof rice, and all of these things. This shows that African food is, we are not just representing ourselves as people, but even our culture, our food, what we live for, what sustains us to the whole world. So let's see how I can't wait for the results or the test hypotheses and the results and whatnot from this particular experiment. We're going to follow up to see what's going to come out of it.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is the fact that Dr. Temidayo is doing this and is making a lot of other young people, young Nigerians, youth in universities to dare also to think, to push forward regardless of their background, regardless of socioeconomic backgrounds or whatever. You see Dr. Temidayo doing this, so you tell yourself, oh, I can also do this. I can explore this space more than just doing every other thing. Because somebody was saying, are you sure we won't be short of course scientists very soon? Because a lot of young people are no longer interested in pursuing careers in science. It's almost like content creation is becoming the order of the day, and people are not interested in sitting down to really study. Oh, I want to study chemistry, I want to study physics, and really go through it. We have more young people who are just now interested in just doing content. So, but when you see people like Dr. Temidayo on your show, you just know that, okay, there is hope for the young African who is interested in pursuing a career in science. So we want to see moves like this because it doesn't just ignite passion, It inspires. It tells you that whatever dreams you have is valid. That's another where I'm seeing this. And I can't wait, like Cynthia said, to see the results. We cannot wait to see what becomes of this. If it is proven that we can grow Egusi through the microgravity over there, wow. Trust me, Egusi is going to be expensive.
It's going to be expensive. I mean, speaking of it now alone, it's already being commercialized. So come to talk of when it is proven that we can grow it there. Okay. But let's hope it comes out. Let's hope it turns out to be. Let's look at it from the positive angle rather, that if it's proven that it can grow there, then it will be grown here, and it will be available in for people in excess.
Senior
So
schools.
yeah, that's what I'm trying to look at. But then at the end of the day, we've seen that most of the time, most of our startups, most of, you know, small businesses, most of our Nigerian creators and what's not have depended rather on foreign systems to fund them. And I think that's where my own concern is the most, because with this now, we are depending on a foreign launching system for this. So I want to see a Nigeria where we depend on our own launching system. We begin to build our own launching system, so that this is very good for partnership.
Yeah.
Yes, this is very good for collaboration. This is very good for, you know, exploration and putting Nigeria in the map. But also, can we bring them home? Can we bring these investors home? Can we bring this partnership home? Can we fund people like this? There are so many people with different beautiful and bright ideas, but then we are still lacking in that funding. We need some of these things to back our experiment. We also need, we were just talking about educational reforms, and we like the initiative that the government brought about testing students for, you know, drugs, but we always have a but to everything. Is there a sustainable system that helps all of these initiatives thrive? So we are saying the same thing for this. Can there be a system that will help people like this thrive without even going outside of Nigeria? Yeah.
Seems like you've spoken very well, but I don't know if that can stand as your last words.
Okay. What do I have to say? I just want to see. This is the future of Nigeria already. This is the future. We are in the future, and we are beginning to, you know, do things like people that are in the future. So I want to, like I said before, I just want to see what comes out of this experiment. But for now, I just want to say I'm proud of Nigeria, and I'm proud to be a Nigerian.
Okay, I'm also proud of Nigeria, and I'm proud to be a Nigerian. But as we wrap up, I'd just like us to know that Egusi going to space may sound like a novelty. But the truth is, it is a step for African science, food security, and innovation. Now, you know that at Idea TV, we pride ourselves in innovation. It is even more important that we remind ourselves that what we grow here in Nigeria can grow everywhere or anywhere, even beyond the earth. So it just reminds us that there's a fresh breeze of possibility on the African soil and beyond the African soil. So from Oyo State now to the stars, you see where our Egusi's journey is going, and reminding us that there's no limit to where Nigerian ideas can go. And who knows what happens in the next few years. Astronauts might be eating Egusi soup in space, and it would have started with one man, one idea, and one small seed. But let us also hear from you, our listeners, our viewers. What do you think about this Egusi in space mission? Could it change how we see our local foods? Do you think that Egusi is going to get very expensive? Can Nigeria truly lead in science and space tech? You can join the conversation online by tagging us on Idea Television on X, Instagram, Facebook, and of course LinkedIn. You can also drop your thoughts on our website at ideatv.live or via mail at ideatvlimited@gmail.com. That's where we'll leave it for today's digest. Since it was so good to be with you.
So good to be with you too.
Until we come your way next time, my name is Chinatu Oji, saying bye for now.